Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another preview. I'm excited, guys. Big boy George has learned how to do the studio mechanics. We're learning, we're moving. This is a big thing for me. I've got a phone that I've kept for like the last 10 years. So, we're making moves on the technical department. But I'm joined by Chris, Willow, Z. Guys, how you guys doing? Good?
Good, mate.
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good. I'm good.
quick poll. How awesome was the intro there? We're moving, right?
Smooth.
We move, we move. All right, guys. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming. DP, nice to see you, mate. Chaos, awesome. So you know what, guys, we actually don't have too much to discuss beyond Brentford. So we're gonna keep it a little short one, little quick one. Guys, Ivan Toney potentially could not be involved. He's got a big calf strain. Hasn't been involved in the last two games. Thomas Frank was talking about us, kind of having him on the bench, potentially not being involved in the squad fully. But what do you guys think? We'll go on a roundtable here. Willow, mate, like how important do you think Ivan Toney is? I think it's pretty easy. If he is injured, we hope we don't see him respectfully. But how important is he to Brentford?
I think he's very important. The role he's took this season has been very different to the role he had last season. He was much more of a fox in the box last season of just scoring lots of goals. While this season he's been involved a lot more in their build-up play and hold-up play. So he's a big part of their build-up play, along with Raya, who is now back, which is a danger. Now I would have loved to have been able to play Brentford without Raya, but yeah, he is definitely very important to the team.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ivan Toney is somebody that I think a lot of us had some mixed feelings about. He had that video with Arsenal that I had some feelings about. But Z, mate, regardless of Ivan Toney's kind of antics, how important is he to Brentford? And if he's potentially not starting, how much of a plus is that for us?
I think one of the main important things to know about Brentford is I feel like Ivan Toney is probably their biggest threat, and regardless if he's not been scoring this season, he's been one of the guys that's been he's been orchestrating their play. He's coming deep and he's kind of being that facilitator for their wide players, and for him not playing, it's kind of like you're nullifying what Brentford is about this season. And so I don't know. I feel like them not for Tony not playing, it's going to be a very straightforward game for us. And because how solid we've been defensively, we've conceded one goal in the last 9 games, I believe. It's going to be very straightforward for us in terms of just defending their attacks. So yeah, I don't think even he's the main topic to talk about today. I feel like it's the fact that Christian Eriksen could possibly play. That is the one that kind of throws me off.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, look, I'll transition with what Chaos is kind of talking about with their losing streak with Chris. Look, they've got a couple injuries, right? Look, Ericsson, I think, is still getting up to speed in a sense. We're talking about kind of under 23 games. I think he was a little bit inconsequential about whether he's involved or not. And I think the same thing with Tony, who, by the way, he does think to make the bench, but he has not really said that he's going to be starting, and of course hasn't played the last two games. So what do you make of kind of Brentford's losing streak and kind of the interim? I think a lot of that is injury related. I really rate Thomas Frank, but what about you? I guess really to wrap up kind of the injury news, Mbeumo is going to be back. I know people are saying, is he or is he not? He's back. Tony will probably be on the bench, unlikely to start. And then Christian Eriksen, I think similarly on the bench, unlikely to start. But David Raya is back. Josh Da Silva, old Arsenal boy, is back. What do you make of Brentford's kind of little mini losing streak? And do you think that they'll redo this and get back up on the table?
Well, they lost like 3 of their best players. Raya has been out for months. Tony's been out for a couple games, and Mbeumo's been out for a couple games as well. So they lost very important players, and they don't have a deep squad. So any team in like the second half of the table losing, like their captain, top scorer, their talisman, and Tony, and then their progression really, their confidence at the back. Raya, any team that loses that is going to suffer. And obviously, I do think that with the players back, they will go up the table. Them and Leeds have really suffered from losing their best players and then going on losing streaks. Leeds is a bit different because they haven't tried to change anything, Leeds. And they've been playing the exact same way, losing their whole spine. But Brentford have only lost Raya, and he's very detrimental to how they play. But having him back is not good for us, but good for them, especially in the long run. Because I'm kind of happy he's back, because I wanted to play them as a better team, because they beat us when we were shit. But I wanted to play them as a better team, and yeah, like they need them players back. And after our game, I think they'll start winning again.
Yeah, and Matt makes a good point. In terms of looking at our fit team and what we've got available. We've got Tommy back. That's been confirmed. I'm unsure if he would probably be starting. I'll be honest with you. He might feel comfortable, and especially with kind of Ivan Toney out, there's actually an excuse, in my opinion, for Mikel not to select Tommy, because I think you lose a lot of that aerial threat that's down that side. We do know that famously Ben had a little bit of an issue covering Toney during that game, but I still maintain there were tons of spaces. And, arguably Emile Smith-Rowe, who's coming back into the fold, we don't have Martinelli. And he's going to come back into the squad. And he had, for me, his best number 10 performance of the season, not just in general for Arsenal, but also for him individually, ironically, on that day. Guys, for us, basically just no Martinelli. What do you guys think that a fit Arsenal is going to do to Brentford at home? Like, what do you guys believe that our injuries kind of help calm some nerves, or is there a need to be nervous? I mean, personally, I don't see a need to be very nervous. So I'll go to Willow first, mate. Home again, been a while. Shakarte's back, Tommy's back, ESR's back. Lights out win, I would imagine, no?
Yeah, I do think it'll be a bit more difficult than some say. I think Joshua Da Silva coming back, I think that's an underrated player. He was very good for them last year. He scored quite a lot of goals and got quite a few assists for them as well. It brings something different. And I would have loved to have played Brentford without Raya, because Raya was their whole thing. That's like us losing Ramsdale and having to put Leno back in goal. You lose that whole build-up play, and that's how they play. That's how they get out, and that's how they create their attacks, is through him. So I do think it'll be a bit more difficult, but still, we're Arsenal. We're at home, 7 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. I think the record is at home this season. Throughout, I can't remember if that's all comps or something, but it's a very good record. I think we'll keep clean sheet. Our defense is just rock solid, isn't it? It's a wall. We're an absolute wall at the back. So I do think it is going to be. Are we doing predicted scores yet? Am I saying my predicted score, or am I leaving that?
No, don't say it.
Don't say the score. But yeah, I think definite win. I'm confident for the win, and I'm looking forward to having the boys back. Smith-Rowe shining. What about you, CK?
I think, Smith-Rowe hasn't started in months, so it will be good to have him back. It would be good to be back at the Emirates. We haven't been there since, obviously, the Burnley 0-0, and before that was the Liverpool loss, and before that was the City thing. So we haven't won at home in the league this season, so it'll be good to be back there and then try and win a game there. I think we'll be confident going into this game. Obviously, it was a very good win last time versus Wolves, and will probably be a good win this time out versus Brentford. I am confident, and I think the players will carry a lot of confidence going into it.
Yeah, I mean, look, a big thing with Reyes, I make that completely correct. I mean, when you talk about kind of the differences between Bernd Leno and Ramsdale and their effect on their build-up, the big outball that they've really got right is that Raya to Toney collect on the second ball and release their outlets. Like that is a big part of their play attacking wise, and off the ball they're really good in the press about suffocating that kind of middle third of the pitch. But if you get in behind Toney and you get in behind their first press, there are spaces to go. I'm going to go to Z first, mate. How important is Emile Smith-Rowe's fitness to this game, and specifically, especially given how much he tore them apart, that I don't think gets talked out enough about? I know we mentioned it briefly early in the preview, but how important do you think Emile Smith-Rowe is going to be, especially against these type of opponents?
I think, to be fair, someone like Emile Smith-Rowe, we saw in the return fixture, in the first fixture that in the start of the season, Emile Smith-Rowe was probably our best player versus Brentford, and you can see how he attacked the spaces, and he was kind of orchestrating the play. And I feel like it's about time he gets back into the starting 11. I feel like Martinelli, he was doing a very good job, on the left, but I felt like something was missing. maybe it's just my opinion. I feel like Tierney and Emma Smith Rowe have a better kind of partnership going on, and it probably is a better combination. And I just want to see them both because I feel like, you know, we need the goals as well. I think some of the goals are kind of drying out, and someone like Emma Smith Rowe can come in and just add a bit more of a cutting edge to the team. So yeah, it'll be very important to see him back into the starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, mate, like just factually, he's our leading goal scorer in the Prem. So him coming back in, he's going to add goal threat. I mean, I don't even think it's just little. I think it's a genuine goal threat. And I don't just mean that facetiously. I wanted to pick up on something that you did mention with Tierney and how it works best, and maybe why things have been working a little bit differently. Because look, we all know that Granit Xhaka's introduction in the last couple of games, we've seen him a lot higher in the pitch. Prior basically to Man City was the last time we really used a true pivot, kind of in the league. And I think that a lot of the struggles that we're seeing with Kieran Tierney are a result of having our kind of touchline left winger wide in Martinelli. And it results in Kieran being back and then Xhaka being up. That's the positional play. We were kind of touching on it in the last review, right? And I think Emile Smith-Rowe's introduction basically pushes Xhaka back into the build-up, has him a little bit as the receiver in that left half space, and chucks Tierney a little bit wide. That transition puts us in positions where I think our players are a lot more comfortable. Xhaka himself is not comfortable up top, kind of, he does play a lot better when he's more in the pivot with another person. So I'll go around the table, like, to you guys, lads, last minute tactical stuff, and then we'll get into maybe the lineups and finally the predictions. Again, we did say it was going to be a little bit of a short one today, but I'll go to Willow first, mate. How important do you think is Emile Smith-Rowe coming back in, and what that might impact on Tierney and specifically Granit Xhaka? Because I really think that positional rotation is going to be a key factor in this game, but also a switch in tactics about what we're going to see.
I think you touched on it. I think you get the best out of everyone that way. I think you see Smith Rowe having that kind of free roam role, or being able just to interlink play. I think he can go around, do what he does best. As you said, George, he's our top goal scorer this season. He had he was so good against Brentford in that first time we played them, but he just didn't have that cutting edge. He didn't have that final ball. He didn't have that final finish. And you've seen him throughout this season just completely flourish now and just become that player who can do that. That West Ham goal on his left foot, he's just got that in his locker now, and he's confident to be able to do that. You're going to see a Kieran Tierney who's not far back. You're going to see him far out and wide, pinging them balls, which again, that's his best strength, I say, is him getting down there and putting in these great little cutback balls to people like Martin Odegaard, who's going to find that space again. And then you're also going to see Granit Xhaka a bit further back where he's not as uncomfortable and he can have more time actually getting them passes into the final third. Again, he's the highest final third entries passer out of the whole of the Premier League. So you're literally going to get the best out of three players that win you games. So it is going to be really positive to see.
Yeah, mate. And look, what Matt's saying, pseudo 10s, brings a smile to my face. As the pseudo 10 merchant, this is what I love to see. And yeah, that's exactly the tactical rotation that really we're going to be looking at. But, I'm going to go to Chris first here on kind of this with Mush in terms of when we look at players, okay, I kind of sent a graph earlier in the day when I talked about our improvement this season, mainly being from our youngsters. In fact, when you do look at kind of Emile Smith-Rowe, a lot of people are saying he's shooting less, but he's got immense ball striking, and that just makes him super clinical. Is that something to be afraid of? Or is the fact that we're getting consistently into third man running situations? I might be leading you with the question, but it's not just Emile Smith-Rowe. Martin Odegaard's been phenomenal at that. It is an attacking pattern that is very fruitful to us. What do you make of kind of Emile Smith-Rowe's lack of involvement in the team? And then subsequently, what he probably means coming back in. I mean, there's a lot of debate how important he is to this team, just in general. Is he another Bruno, as is being facetiously said on the timeline, or is there more to his game?
Well, he wasn't fit, so we didn't want to risk him. Or Odegaard did a good role in the team whilst he wasn't here, so it wasn't necessary to rush him back like we had to with Saka when he wasn't fit. So we found an option and a way to play without him. And with him out, him being injured and stuff, and just slowly getting back in, coming off the bench, scoring goals. So even with him not being in the team, he was still making a big impact. Maybe not in general play, but on the score sheet and in the stats, he was making a big impact. So he's still very important. He's still our most dynamic player. He's still our most powerful runner, our fastest player. He still has the most goals in our team. He's still the best combination in our team. He's still probably now got the best ball striking in the attackers in our team. So he's all these things, so he is still very, very important to the team. And with like all this stuff about like him not being important anymore, just that when someone's out of the way and not in the equation, we automatically assume, poorly as fans, that there's an issue or that they've decreased in importance and stuff. But maybe it's just we want him fit. And what if you're still winning when he's not fit? Why risk him when he's not fit? So yeah, I think he'll play a very big part.
I think
in
I also think it's been a bit. There's some disingenuous claims that he's not been good this season. I think he has been good this season. He's been for I think around 2-3 months. He was our best player, but then he fell off a little bit. I think he's been carrying some kind of knock. But the fact of the matter is, and what is a very good sign of a brilliant player, is someone that keeps up with the rest of the team, and he's been scoring goals. And that's one of the main things that we need to think about ESR. That even if he's not playing good, if he's coming up with the goals as well, like that's such a huge weapon to have in the team. So I feel like, you know what, we've been very harsh with ESR. I feel like he's going to come back, and now he's going to be one of the main players for our final push in the run in.
I'll be honest, I think it's ridiculous. I think that people that don't believe ESR is probably our second most important player to this team is crazy. The fact that we went on that running kind of win with him in the team is not coincidence. It is a big part to do with him, not just the fact that we have a number 10, but his profile of player. He's a tempo changer, guys. And every single time that he is on the pitch, he is guaranteed to create a situation that is either 1v1 or himself will grab an opportunity 1v1. He changes the pace of the game. And when you're really looking at a press like this, you know, it's very important that we have him in the team. And, you know, I'll follow up with Steve's question, kind of just quickly go to Willow. Mate, we love both these players. When Martinelli is back and, you know, does Emile stay fit? Do they combine together in the same team? Can you echo the dreams of what we want as Martinelli striker?
I've been saying it like since Alba was still here and stinking up the pitch. I wanted Martinelli to be starting. I want ESR to be on that left-hand side. It's the best way to get all the best players in the team, and that's what you want to do at the end of the day. If you can get all your best players in the best team, then you're going to get the best results, aren't you? So it has to be that way. Lacazette is just not consistent enough. He's too slow, and I just need Martinelli in the middle. I need him getting his head on them to Kieran Tierney crosses. I really do.
What it really does, Willow, mate, is like really quickly, it gets our best run of form, which has been in a pivot, which has been with pseudo 10s, which has been Kieran Tierney high and wide, has been Xhaka dropping deep. Like when you have Emile Smith-Rowe, who, by the way, I still don't believe is best off the left wing, but you have that option, it allows you to push Martinelli inside. And what we've really seen with Lacazette, and when you talk about it, you know, Yo-Yo, about Nketiah starting ahead, not really for me. I think Nketiah can be a bench option at this point, and in terms of just changing a dynamic. But really what I want to see is a run of Martinelli through the middle because, you know, we're all very big fans here of Martinelli being a striker. We've seen it echoed by the club. Like what kills me is this isn't just a tactical moment for myself, Chris, or Willow, or other people. The club has been briefing everybody and the fans for almost 3 or 4 months now by different sources that Martinelli has been training as a 9. So let's see it. It doesn't mean that he's categorically black and white going to be a 9 constantly, but I think for me, this is a great opportunity against center backs that are big and burly. Let's see what his movement between the lines is going to look like. Let's see if he's able to occupy zones. We kind of gave a shout out to Balogun at the first time of this run, and, you know, he was that false 9 profile, but let's see what kind of advancements Martinelli has done. And I think that's kind of a good place to leave it, guys. And we'll probably go to the predictions and we'll go around the table as Chris sorts out that table of our predictions.
It's there, since you're in control now.
Okay, that's fair. We'll see if George can actually do this, lads. But in terms of predictions, see, guys, we're still doing it. I'm gonna let Chris do it because I got a little flustered as I was trying to transition here. But who said men can't multitask? So thank you. There we go. Predictions are up there. Basically, we'll go around the kind of the table there. Willow, mate, why do you think it's going to be kind of a 2-0, which seems to be a kind of favorite score line between both Kern and Z?
I just think it's, you know, we're still not scoring tons of goals at the moment. I think goals will come back into it as we carry on. Our defence is just a wall. It's one of the best defences in the league. We're so good at the back. Yeah, I don't know. I think 2-0. I think Saka gets a Saka gets a goal, and I think maybe. I mean, no, Saka scores and Ben White gets his first for the club. He gets a little headed goal as well. That's what I'm going to go with. I think
That's-
Tommy. I'm hoping Tommy comes back in as well. I want to see him back on the pitch. But yeah, 2-0.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. And quickly before we go, guys, make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe. Remember, if you guys do have a last minute question, because this is going to be a short one, you can send one of those super chat, I don't know, those super sticker things. I'm not going to be good at this, guys. So yeah, a robot who can't operate tech is just a logical infallacy. But thanks again for the support. And then Z, lastly, mate, before we go to Chris and myself, you've got a 2-0. Why do you think it's going to be 2-0?
There's obviously I still feel like we kind of come short in terms of scoring goals. I feel like it'll be a bit of a cagey game in the first half, where probably Brentford will try come and intimidate us, and then the game will settle down, and then we'll start scoring the goals. So that's why I kind of see it being 2-0. I also see us, like saving our energy for the big game next Thursday as well, which is against Wolves. So yeah, I just feel like this is where at 2-0 is where we'll kind of shut down and just control the game really.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Chris, mate, as usual, basically
The highest
4-0,
scoring.
a little bit more optimistic, we should say. What makes you think it's going to be a blowout?
Well, I think obviously being back at home, we're going to score a lot of. I think we're going to get a lot of chances. I think the players haven't had. They've created a lot of chances and have been more decisive. Like last week versus Wolves was more very decision based, like very good decisions rather than dominating general play and just having a flurry of chances. We picked our chances and did very well with them. I think this time I will be a bit different, and I feel like we'll maintain the clinical edge, but increase the chances, and with players like Smith Rowe back, and Laka plays better at home, so I expect him to run this time rather than what he did at Wolves. And Ødegaard plays better at home as well. Despite not being bad versus Wolves, he's generally always better at home. And just the players having another week of fitness, another week of training, and another week with more players back from injury, just a boost from the team. So yeah, I think we'll score 3, 4, 5, something big. Like they do need a big scoreline. Obviously, we haven't had a big scoreline since Norwich.
Yes, Norwich was the last one. Yeah,
Norwich was the last big scoreline. So yeah, from our side, anyways. But yeah, I think we'll score a lot of goals.
Yeah, and don't worry, Mush, I see you, buddy. We're going to do that into an actual pod. We're going to blow that up. We're going to get my tactic board out. You guys all wanted us to maybe do a little bit more visuals, so that is an idea. We will talk about the failure of the back three system. I famously have said on this pod so many times, it doesn't last more than 18 months. We will say why, and we will save that kind of for extra content for members, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, which we are approaching very soon. So again, thank you everything for your support. I'll just wrap up by kind of just previewing this 3-0 that I've kind of predicted, which I think is a safe bet. I was tempted to do 3-1, but the fact that, Ivan Toney is not fit enough to start, they really lack their technical edge. They've gone to a 3 at the back system because of the fact they have no Toney, and that's been their solution. And it's been a poor solution, but it's still kind of what they've had to do. Norgard is, definitely an interesting little DM down there too. And Josh Da Silva being back, I don't know if he's fit enough, but it might add a little bit more in the engine room for them. But ultimately, without Toney in that outlet to hold the ball, they're really going to struggle in this game. Chris, you mentioned the fact that, Laka is a home player. We've said this a lot on this pod. I think he ends up coming back in. He'll have a good game. Laka likes it when the fans are behind him and we've got the ball, which is something that I think we're going to see in this game. We're going to see a pretty dominant scoreline. One thing that we have not mentioned and people haven't mentioned is set pieces. Brentford are kind of 4th worst in the league, conceding 9 so far. And we're obviously very good at set pieces. So I actually think that we probably see a Gabriel goal. We definitely see a Saka goal because I think that's going to be some seriousness. And Emile Smith-Rowe will continue being the top scorer in the Premier League. So I definitely see those guys doing it. And I see a very comfortable game, I'll be honest with you. I think, Willow, you're right. It'll probably be cagey in the first 10, 15 minutes. But I think once we break the press for the first time, and get that first goal, I think it'll be, kind of lights out. And of course, 3 at the back system favors us. And, we're going to see that return, in my opinion. Lacazette will drop in, go onto Norgard. We're going to see that kind of play out exactly how we've seen it before. I don't think we'll go zonal like how we did against Ruben Neves, which is going to be a good change that we're going to see, in my opinion. I think Emile Smith-Rowe coming back in changes these positional rotations, and we're going to see kind of us go back to that pseudo 10 system. Laka will drop on the DM, man mark, and everyone else will kind of go zonal. I think it'll be beautiful for everybody. Everybody will love it. The fans will love it, and I see a very nice 3-0. So, guys, before we get going, really quickly, if you have last minute comments, everybody, thank you again so much for everybody joining us. Fire them out, and we can do a really quick rapid fire for the next couple of minutes. But
Well, for
Mustafa,
me,
do you want to answer that, Chris, mate?
Do you think this team?
So essentially, in order to challenge for the title, step one is basically, in his opinion, getting a center forward, winger, center mid, right back, kind of the big starting 11 additions. Do you think we have a one-step or a two-step difference if you understand your dance patterns? What do you think is the pathway to a title?
Obviously, there's certain players that are going to leave anyway. So like Ketia, these guys, they're going to leave. So for me, it's just adding starters, like very, very good starters that will push some very good to decent players that are already in the starting lineup to the bench that will be good enough for the bench, and then maybe give them next season will be a very good one. And depending on how well they maybe mesh together, or depending on how much money we spend this summer, we see them challenge for the title. I'm not sure. So I think it's one step, not two steps, like signing starters, then signing backups per se. I think signing very good starters will allow us to move to a certain step to challenge for the title, challenge for the Champions League and stuff like that. But I think we're on a very good trajectory right now. And what I was going to say for Brentford is that I'm kind of happy that he's tried something different, because the other teams in the same situation in the Prem with injuries to their big players have tried to maintain the same way of playing, the same risk, and it's gone very poorly. Like Leeds are the biggest example that Bielsa hasn't tried to change anything at all since losing Phillips, losing Rafinha sometimes, losing Bamford, losing his by far the biggest players in his team. He hasn't tried to change anything. So even though the three at the back isn't the best fix, I'm happy that he's tried a fix for his team, but getting his players back will allow him to move back to his formation and get Henry higher, get Tony back on the left striker role, and get Bomo back collecting the ball from Tony. But hopefully not this game, but the game after us. I hope they can get back to what they were doing, because they were looking good before the riot injury.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, guys, I really kind of go back to kind of Yo-Yo's comment here, where I think Brentford are going to be a little bit of cannon fodder, respectfully. I think this is going to be a great game, a great day in the sun at the M's. Classic. We've got an excellent home record. All of the kind of matchups line up for us. They don't have their most important player. Of course, they've been in a little bit of a rut, recently, having that 3 at the back system. We thrive on 3 at the back systems. Emile Smith Rowe back in. I think it's going to be no coincidence that we're going to go into the goals. Probably last minute thoughts from you two lads before we sign off. Willow, mate, what do you make of the 2-0, do you think? Are you good value for money?
To be honest, this game I think is actually going to go like the Newcastle game. They played 3 at back against us. We won 2-0. I think we'll dominate possession. They'll have a couple counter attacks, but at the end of the day, our centre backs are well good enough to be able to stop them counter attacks. You saw what Gabriel did against the likes of Wilson and Antonio, and he absolutely bullied them for counter attack. So I think we'll be absolutely fine. I think it will be quite a dominating performance of about 65-70% possession. And I think they might get a few counter attacks, but we've got the defence to be able to sort it.
Absolutely.
I do think it will be similar to the Newcastle game, but just a lot more clinical, instead of like the other chance and stuff like that, missing some big chances in that game. I just think we'll be a lot more clinical and score 4 goals, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is it. And DB, mate, thank you so much. We really appreciate, guys, all your super chats, the likes, the engagement. It's just been absolutely crazy. Of course, we've got our 1K. We're trying to up the visuals, and of course, we are going to up some of the, the tactic boards that you guys all want. So we're going to have a lot of exciting stuff. We're just waiting for that membership kind of to be approved, and we will definitely let that out to you guys. But, guys, only thing that's missing is essentially our socials, and we do that thing where I normally sign us off. So, guys, you can find us at BoP Footy on Twitter. Of course, you can find all of the lads on their socials. Myself at GeorgeV_AFC. Chris, mate, where can they find you?
I'm not pure CKK anymore for now. CK Football on Twitter, and BoP Footy on Twitter as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, you can do that thing where they see all the usernames down there like that. But where can they find Curran and Z again?
Current BoP, and Z at @PrivArsenal_Z on Twitter, both on Twitter.
And Willow Mate or Edge, where can they find you? Bar Raw.
Yes.
The one Willow, but that will be changing soon.
There we go. There we go. Okay, guys, I told you it would be a short one, and I'm going to keep to my word. So thank you guys, everybody in the comments, for your engagement. Thank you so much for your likes, commenting. Remember, you share the video, guys, and we will back on probably Monday with, a Brentford review, hopefully after Arsenal win 3-0. So
4-0.
4-0 according to Chris, but no, in reality it's going to be 3. We're going to establish our period up at the top. Anyways, guys, thank you so much, and I'm signing off. Peace.